Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wolves of Alt Street for yet another Ask Us Anything. My name is Nexus. As always, it is my pleasure and privilege to be your host for this program. Today, we are here talking to AuraPool, a Bitcoin mining NFT project that purports to attach a hash rate to each NFT. With that said, this is not a financial advice program, even though it might sound like it. All of the opinions you will be hearing are just that. The opinions of the speakers, and they do not necessarily reflect all of the opinions of the team at Cudos or AuraPool, or necessarily all of the opinions of the Wolves of Alt Street. And with that said, I bid everyone a glorious and warm welcome, especially to our guests from AuraPool, Blockchain Jeff and Cudo Pete. How are you guys doing today?
Really good, thank you, Nexus. Thank you very much for inviting us here. I think we've been excited about this all day, so it's absolutely our pleasure to be invited here and to talk to your community.
Awesome. Well, with that said, let us dive right into the questions. Please, if you guys wouldn't mind, tell us anything about yourselves that you would like us as a community to know to help us get to know you and your team.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. So, I'm Blockchain Jeff. Some people call me Jeff, some people call me Jeffrey. Whatever fits you. I'm happy to go either way. So, I'm the head of community at AuraPool and Cudos. Overseeing the community activities, all of the fun stuff you'll be seeing once you jump into the Discord, the AuraPool Discord, if you haven't already. The social media side of things, and essentially. That's my role at AuraPool.
Thank you very much. And I'm Cudo Pete, or Pete Hill is my normal name on the birth certificate. I'm one of the founding team of Cudo. Cudo is the parent company, by the way, just for everyone here. So we're the team that brought the Cudo Compute distributed cloud computing network, the Cudos blockchain as well, which is what AuraPool is built on. And also the latest exciting addition to our ecosystem, which is AuraPool. So everything we do is infrastructure based, how you can supply it, how you can buy it, how you can own it. And my background is very much come from the kind of cloud data center background. So there's kind of a natural progression towards this. And now the technology is unlocked the ability to be able to turn things into NFT and kind of decentralize the ownership of infrastructure. That's what we're focused on at AuraPool.
Excellent. Okay. With that said, I feel that at this point in the AMA, it's important for me to disclose I do have some personal biases towards this company and this project, mostly due to the fact that they were part of my crypto gateway. I've been using Cudo Miner as a platform for several years now, and it's done me very well. And although I have some critiques I could levy the platform, the support that you guys give to the miners who use it is second to none, and I absolutely have to applaud you for that at this time. Now, with that said, can you guys sort of describe for me real quick the connection between AuraPool and the Cudos company?
Yeah, sure. So Cudo is the parent company, as I mentioned. Cudos is the blockchain, so it's our own layer 1 blockchain. We built that from the Cosmos SDK. There's a number of reasons behind that decision, which I'm happy to kind of go into as well. And AuraPool sits as a marketplace, as an application on top of the Cudos blockchain. So it's taken advantages of the benefits of the low-cost transactions, which is obviously a very good thing for an NFT marketplace. Quick transfer,
yes.
Absolutely, and a lot of kind of interoperability benefits as well within the Cosmos ecosystem. So it's been a good journey. You actually mentioned Cudo Miner, so I want to kind of pick up on that as well.
Yes,
so I think it's an important piece. And I was so happy to hear earlier on that we were your gateway, if you like, into the world of mining.
Yes.
So when we founded the company right at the beginning of 2018. Our vision for Cudo was to build the world's biggest distributed cloud computing company, one where anyone would be able to contribute computing power into the network and be able to earn from the network as well. Now,
ambitious, given that you're facing down Amazon and Google.
Absolutely. But you've got to have big ambitions, right, to aim for. So we definitely don't shirk away from that. I can guarantee you. So, what came very apparent to us is that if we wanted to kind of test the market and see, find a product fit and see if people were willing to download an application to put it onto their computer, and for that application to use their spare computing power to earn them revenue, essentially, then what better way to do that than with a mining software or supporting mining as the first use case? Because if it's proof of work, it's 24/7 demand.
Yep.
So it's always using that spare capacity. So that's kind of where Cudo Miner was born out of. It was a kind of proof of concept application for the longer view of, okay, all right, if we test mining and people like running that application and earning cryptocurrency from it, then we can start to replace those mining workloads over time with other compute workloads, things like AI, things like video rendering, simulations, could even be metaverse type nodes, right? As the world has developed over the last few years. So that was the basis of it. So we kind of launched Cudo Miner, I think it was March 2019. That turned out to be a huge success. We ended up spending more time kind of investing development resource into that to then take it from being a desktop application to a mining rig application, and then to a kind of small GPU farm, small to medium GPU farm application. And whilst that product is, I would say, with the likes of the ETH merge, which happened last year, cutting down the amount of kind of available miners on there, what it's done is it's given us all of those all of that IP, all of the engines behind the scene, like the profit engine, the billing engine stuff that we can reutilize for the other products going forward. So it was a really important step for us, and it's ultimately what got us here today.
Excellent. Okay, so with that said, I feel that it is an important time to note, because I forgot to mention it earlier, there are some special rewards you have for us, right? I would like my community to stick around and wait till the end of the show to figure out what those rewards are, because they are, in my opinion, quite exciting. This is an extra reward for basically the whole community, in addition to our usual best question rewards. So I just wanted to sort of shout that out, that if you stick around to the end, we will have some special rewards for the community. Now, let's talk about what an AuraPool NFT is and what you get when you buy one. Starting out, what chains are you guys planning to have this on?
Yeah, so this is initially going to be on the Cudos blockchain, so that's our own chain, and one of the advantages of that is it's within the Cosmos ecosystem. So actually, it's not just our chain that can benefit from that. There's other people within the Cosmos ecosystem that will be able to have us supported. But the roadmap for this is to take it multi-chain. So that's always been the plan from the beginning. Naturally, after on the Cudos blockchain, we'll very, very likely do an EVM version, right? That's where the majority of users are on other chains. So yeah, it's going to be a multi-chain product, but the first launch of it, the first version is on our own blockchain, Cudos.
Excellent. Now, I would like to dive right into the meat and potatoes of this thing. You guys write on Twitter the order to workflow of AuraPool as follows. 1. Miners provide hash power. 2. Buyers purchase Hashrate NFTs from AuraPool. 3. Miners receive compensation. 4. AuraPool directs power to pool. 5. AuraPool smart contract distributes rewards to miners. 6. AuraPool distributes rewards to NFT holders. Is this correct?
Yeah, it sounds like you've learned that off by heart. I'm impressed.
I appreciate that.
It's so good. So yeah, to explain it really. So what we're effectively doing is bringing kind of DeFi and infrastructure and NFTs, those three kind of together to create this. So AuraPool itself is a marketplace. We are partnering on the supply side. So all marketplaces have got a supply and a buy side. So on the supply side, we are partnering with mining farms, Bitcoin mining farms, and specifically clean energy Bitcoin mining farms. So what happens is that farm will list their hash rate. They'll say what price per terahash, which is the unit of hash power that Bitcoin ASIC devices produce, should I say. And then effectively that we take that all through kind of deep due diligence on the financial stability and the physical environment of that farm. And we've got some great partners on that side as well. So we're looking for like really, really good operators that have got high credibility there. And then they list their hash rate effectively. Now, with that hash rate, we can then carve that up into different size NFTs. We're calling those NFTs hash rate collectibles. And really kind of bringing that kind of collectible into it, because there's more value to it than just the single utility and the utility that you've just discussed here, which is the daily Bitcoin rewards. There's also the ability to enter games. So we'll have games coming up in the very, very near future, and that will give you a chance to win additional hash rate. So there'll be a long list of kind of utility benefits that we're building into it. So it acts more as a kind of membership pass into it. But of course, everyone here is here to hear about the kind of Bitcoin rewards it pays. So you're absolutely right. So the farm has provided this. It gets sold as an NFT. So the farm gets the revenue from the sale of that NFT. So for them, it's really good because it means that they've got an ROI on that hardware near instantly, rather than having to wait kind of 18 to 24 months if they were mining by themselves. And it also creates a kind of hedge revenue for them as well. So whilst they might be mining for themselves with the majority of their farm, they might put, say, 10, 20, 30% of their hash rate towards AuraPool, and it creates them that kind of hedge revenue. But for the buyer, it means that you hold that hash rate collectible, it sits in your wallet, and it earns you those Bitcoin rewards. So it's kind of like it's like mining, but without any of the fuss, any of the hardware. You don't have to go find the hosting contracts. You don't have to learn how to install it. You don't have to maintain it. You don't have to manage it. All of that is done by the operator, i.e. the mining farm, and you pick up the rewards from that because you're the one that's bought that hash rate.
Excellent. Okay. So that brings up a very interesting follow-up question. I'm curious if you guys can describe what AuraPool directing power to pool means. I'm confident that in this community, we all know what a smart contract distribution and an NFT reward system looks like, but I'd like you to help me understand what directing power to pool means.
Yeah, sure. So within Bitcoin mining, you have mining pools. So these are syndicate pools effectively. So mining farms will not just mining farms, but individual miners, they will point their devices, their hash rate towards one of these mining pools. That could be Slush pool, it could be Foundry, it could be Luxor, for example. There's a number of well-known mining pools out there, and because the way Bitcoin works, the more hash power you've got, the higher the chances that you're going to win that block reward, right? So there's a block reward that's paid every 10 minutes. At the moment, that's 6.25 Bitcoin that's paid out every 10 minutes. So the more hash power you've got, the higher the chance you've got to win. So, individuals with one device, two device, it's like a lottery if you're trying to do that by yourself without connecting to a pool. So by connecting to a syndicate pool, it means you're going to get a proportionate share, but there's a higher chance of that pool winning the block. So AuraPool itself is it's a marketplace in the sense that you can go on, the suppliers can list the hash rate, and you as buyers will be able to buy that hash rate. But it also acts as a proxy to a mining pool.
So, okay, that makes a lot more sense to me. Yeah. All right, so let me try to steel man what you just told me.
Oh, yeah.
Essentially, when people will work with you guys to sell ASIC quality mining hashes, the AuraPool exists as a way to essentially do what NiceHash does with the whole selling hash power thing, but without needing the specificity of chain or needing essentially a massive upfront investment from the person buying the hash rate. So this is essentially an alternative to all of that, Hillabeats.
Correct. Yeah, it's absolutely, as you say, and also it brings the liquidity. So this is different to cloud mining, because if you were to do cloud mining, then you're locked into those contracts for time. What an NFT does, in this case, a Hashrate collectible, is what we're calling it. Is it unlocks that liquidity. So there is a secondary market. You're able to trade it.
Okay, excellent. All right, so my next question, immediate follow-up from that, is that you guys are telling me that the NFT will be earning me Bitcoin or Satoshis that are generated by a clean hash rate at a minimal startup expense, which sounds awesome. But I have to ask how exactly that's possible, because I'm aware that the investment required in clean, eco-friendly power production is not an insubstantial one. So I'm just kind of wondering about that.
Yeah, I mean, so the nice thing about this model is that we're partnering with these large operators, and these, they could have 10 megawatts worth of mining equipment in place within their farm. They could even have up to a gigawatt, right? So there's some real giants out there. With as you well know.
Yes, sir.
And this is only going to keep growing and growing and growing, right? These very well run operators are scaling because they have the economies of scale in their buying power, and that's on the hardware, which affects the return a lot, and it's also on the kind of power purchase agreements that they have with either the power companies or their own infrastructure they've kind of built to supply the farm. So in the power world, that's called in front of the wire if you're buying it from the power company, or take it from the grid. It's behind the wire if you're creating it yourself, effectively. So let's say there's a farm in Washington State, right? So there's a lot of hydroelectricity in Washington State. And a farm up there is going to be paying a very, very low cost per kilowatt hour for their electricity because they're using a lot. So, they've got a purchase agreement and they're getting economies of scale from that. But also because renewable infrastructure, once it's been installed, is actually a lot cheaper electricity per kilowatt hour than using fossil fuels, right? It just so happens that the infrastructure to build it in the first place is a little bit more expensive. So these farms are, they're being supplied by renewable energy or clean energy, as we would call it, and they have a cost of producing 1 Bitcoin, and the cost of producing that Bitcoin is variable because of what happens on the Bitcoin network. You've got this kind of network difficulty which goes up and down. You also have the price of Bitcoin that goes up and down as well. So there's a couple of kind of variables in there. But they have this cost to produce it. So effectively what they're doing now is that they're looking at this and saying, right, okay, so we can create ourselves a hedge revenue where we're getting dollars to come in by selling some of that hash rate portion to the open market, i.e. via AuraPool. And we're able to pass on those economies of scale and still make a profit for themselves, right? They are for-profit businesses. Let's be transparent on that piece. But they're able to pass on those economies of scale. So the buyer of the Hashrate collectible is still getting a very, very, very competitive rate, good value rate on the price per terahash. So we have 5 levels. So kind of put it into example, we have 5 levels of these Hashrate collectibles. And that ranges from an entry level, which is around about $150, and goes all the way up to kind of top one, which is about $5,000.
Wow!
And they have absolutely. So there's designed to be something for everyone.
Okay, so the 5K size though, is that the highest grade, like the rarest, correct, most uncommon?
Yeah. So the 5K one will have 170 terahashes. Is the contract that sits behind it, right? So that's the hash rate contract that sits behind it. And for anyone that's not familiar with kind of the jargon that I'm using, 170 terahashes is roughly equivalent to about 1 3/4, maybe even 2, fairly decent, fairly powerful ASIC, Bitcoin ASIC machines. So
And
that's the
this
kind
is noteworthy. The reason why I wanted to ask about this particular grade of NFT, the higher one, is because I know the cost of an ASIC miner can run, even in this market where you would think the price would basically be bear market bottoms. I see ASIC miners still going for $15,000 to $20,000.
Yeah, and again, it all comes down to that economies of scale. A large mining farm that's buying 2,000 of them is going to get a much better price than you and I that's phoning up, one of the brokers and buying 20 devices or less. So again, it's all about how we can push those economies of scale onto the end user and onto the end buyer in this model.
Okay, and with that, boss, we get to my final rundown question before we dive straight into the community. How is your smart contract that governs the mining rewards protected?
Right, my screen's just gone off. Right, so the smart contract itself sits on our blockchain. It's being audited. It's being stress tested. I'd probably have to get one of the product engineers or the CTO on to give you a full answer on that. So I don't want to say anything inaccurate.
No worries. I'm used to that answer.
I'll be more than happy to follow that up. We take everything very, very seriously on the security side of things, making sure everything is stress tested, pen tested beforehand, as well, before we do any kind of product launch. So it's a very important part of our process. So I'll be more than happy to follow up.
Okay. And with that, we shall dive straight into community questions right on time. Beginning, of course, with our man Obadiah, who writes, I would like to thank the team for being here and answering our questions. Appears to me this is a pretty solid project. To begin, my first question, are there any measures to prevent multi-accounting, botting, or process automation that would keep users from obtaining multiple rewards?
Wow, I mean, that's straight in the deep end, isn't it? Obadiah, I love your question, by the way. So thanks for asking that. So the mining farm is providing the hash rate as a hash rate pool. You as a buyer are buying the hash rate collectible, so the NFT, which is a fixed amount of hash rate from that pool. It's not linked to the physical device underneath because it's coming out of that physical hash rate pool. So you've got one entry at that point per hash rate collectible, so per NFT is one entry. Because we're acting as a proxy to the main pool, and let's say that's Foundry or Slush Pool, for example, it means that as that hash rate is mining away, and it's going into that pool, and the pool is monitoring it for what is a failed share, what is a passed share, and I can go into that in a bit more detail if we want to. That means that is then going to the owner of that hash rate, i.e. it's going to the unique key or the NFT identity. So I know that doesn't fully answer your question. Again, it's probably a technical question. I need to bring someone on, but I don't see how that could be botted in the way you've asked. But I think it's something we'll probably have to follow up again.
Okay. Question 2, are there grants, sponsorships, or partnerships for other projects that might be interested in joining or working with you?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So we do have a Cudos Foundation. The Cudos Foundation is open for applicants are looking for grants. But from a partnership point of view, absolutely. I think this is what's really exciting about this is there's so much what we can do with it, because the NFT gives us the ability to be able to bring in some really cool artwork, and we can discuss that a bit in a moment again. And these other utilities. So if someone wants to come along and do a partnership and just say, hey, look, I know Jay-Z or I know Beyonce or something, can we put them on and associate? We have the IP or we have the rights to be able to work with them. And those NFTs can pay out some or attach to some hash rate. Brilliant. If there's another project here that is saying, look, let's do a collaboration, and you can add some utility from yours into ours, and from ours into yours, we're all open. I think that's a really good way to approach things. And this is the blockchain space, right? It's supposed to be an open, collaborative space, so we're all up for that.
So they tell us, right? Okay. Next user, Panda, writes, what potential legal challenges might arise for AuraPool and other NFT marketplaces that would be selling Hashrate collectibles, particularly in terms of securities regulation?
Yeah, this is a really good question. So thanks for asking this. I was kind of hoping this came up because it is something that needs to be said. So, we are not positioning these, although they pay Bitcoin daily rewards, we're not positioning this as a financial product, and that's a very, very important thing to kind of state here. These are, AuraPool and the collections that AuraPool launches on the marketplace. They are going to be kind of membership passes, so there's going to be far more utility than just the Bitcoin rewards themselves. We can't guarantee a profit, and I think this is another thing. We've got a calculator. I'm happy to share the calculator afterwards, and you can enter your own variables into there. So things like what you think the starting Bitcoin price is going to be, what you think the ending Bitcoin price is going to be. And most of these hash rate collectibles are going to have 4-year terms, by the way, as well. So you'll be paid over that full term, and you can kind of come to your own summation on that. But we're not guaranteeing that there will be a profit here, and we're much more focused on the actual value that we can bring into the community through the full set of utilities. So when it comes to, so that's kind of part one of the answer. Now, when it comes to kind of securities, now the rules in the US are different to outside of the US, and a lot of people here will be very familiar with that. So within the US, for example, and we've had lots of consultations with our lawyers and everyone, as you can imagine, on that side. So within the US, you can't fractionalize things. So if we were to sell an NFT that had 100 terahashes, for example, then that would have to be attached to a physical Bitmain S19 device, which is 100 terahashes as well, right? So it has to be the kind of full unit that represents underneath. Outside of the US, you can actually fractionalize it, and it doesn't have to be attached to a physical device. It can come from the hash pool, which is how we've designed it. So, these hash rate collectibles that we're selling, we cannot sell to US citizens through AuraPool, and that's much the same way as people in the US not being able to go onto exchanges and buy tokens, etc. So it's very, very similar rules in that sense. Now, will it change in the future? Who knows? Hopefully, I think that's what we're all hoping for. But we absolutely want to stick to the regulation and all the local laws around the world. So for now, this is available for people outside the US.
Very cool. Okay, Panda's second question. What measures does AuraPool have in place to determine and ensure the authenticity of the hash rate collectibles being sold?
Yeah, so so it's probably a good way to explain is we've come from the core of the team, the founding team at least, has come from the data center industry. So we spent the last, all the way back to 2001, really going around different data centers, auditing them before we went and took wholesale space. We built our own data centers as well. So from a physical environment point of view, we know exactly what to look for, what to qualify, what to run our due diligence on effectively for that. So these are things like, how are these facilities called? And mining farms can come in different forms. They can be in kind of warehouse type data center facilities. They can also be in containers, right? So it's how is it called? What's the fire suppression? What's the cabling like? Is it tidy, right? We want to see professionally run units. So all of these kind of different things we factor in. So there's quite an in-depth due diligence form on the physical environment. But we also do it on the finance side as well. So we want to check how stable is that farm? What other kind of hedge revenues or diverse revenue streams have they got coming in? What's their cash flow? All of these kind of things, background checks on the founders, how long have they been around? What's their power purchase agreement? Are they on a fixed or are they on a variable electricity rate?
All of them. Every one of those is an important question to be asking here.
Absolutely. So, we do that. That's our commitment to the AuraPool community, is that, before a farm is able to list their hash rate publicly, then we've gone through and we've checked all the boxes on that side of things. That mitigates risks, right? It brings the risk down. It doesn't remove it altogether. You can always get black swan events. But the on the marketplace, each of these farms that are listing, this is representing their brand, right? So they're not anonymous on there. Their brand is up there. So you'll be able to go and do your own checks on them, do your own research, and we'd always strongly advise that anyway. They'll have information there about the type of power that's powering it as well. So there's lots of kind of information that they need to display on their page for their collection. To give you the ability to be able to do that research. So we take it so far, and we want to remove as much risk as possible, but we still advise to do your own research.
Naturally. All right, next set of questions comes from my man Sergeant 13 Bravo. Question 1. How many people, once they hear they can earn, will oftentimes disregard security? What kind of auditing and security controls do you guys have in place? Now, I asked lightly some of this earlier and you couldn't answer, but if there's any, like in the interim, if there's any finer details that you're able to elaborate, I think that would satisfy Sergeant's question.
Yeah, I think we've got a few security frequently asked questions which are going up onto the website. So we've got a holding page in place at the moment, and that's just to get people registered onto AuraPool. The full website, Blockchain Jeff has been hard working away on that in the background, and any day now, potentially early into next week, that will be live as well. So there'll be frequently asked questions on there. You're more than welcome to go there and check that out. It's aurapool.io. But yeah, I think this is fairly similar to a question before. Is that the smart contract itself? We will make sure that's been fully tested, going through an audit process as well to have assurance on that. The same with the actual platform itself. So AuraPool is the marketplace. That will be pen tested. It's actually going through the testing at the moment, should I say, on the staging environment. And we'll make sure that all of the little bugs that you're always going to get with any kind of new software product is ironed out and everything before the platform goes live.
Excellent.
So hopefully that part answers your question.
Yes, and it leads directly into his second question. How is the user's privacy being handled? And Sergeant adds that if the government pushes for the identification of all of those miners via KYC, would AuraPool be forced to comply?
So we've gone through all the kind of legal counselling and consultation, should I say? Counselling makes it sound like we need advice because we're sweating.
You need therapy.
Therapy, that's what I'm thinking for. So we've gone through the kind of consultation. So if the purchase is over $1,000, you do have to do KYC. If it's under $1,000, you don't have to do KYC.
Okay, very neat. All right, moving right along. Our next question comes from Element, who writes, will the mining be lucrative enough for the miners to ultimately sustain a healthy environment of hash power?
Yeah,
excuse me, a healthy amount of hash power.
So it's not a financial product. So I do want to reiterate that there isn't a guarantee that it will make profit. However, I think once you see the calculator and you put in your inputs, again, everyone here is probably going to have a different opinion of what the price of Bitcoin is going to be in 4 years' time, right, which is when the first collection term will end on there. So it could be 75, it could be 100, it could be 140, for example. That's decision on your side. But by putting that into the calculator, you will actually see what the return will be over that time. And again, that's based on, there's some really complicated variables in the background here, as you'll know as well, Nexus, especially the network difficulty, because it's not just a pure linear straight up moving average type
Absolutely
graph, right?
not. It ebbs, it flows.
Exactly. So, we could get into the next bull run, for example, and the price of Bitcoin has spiked, and the daily rewards are therefore going to be higher than if we're in a bear market, kind of thing. So you have to kind of take all of that into account, I think, before you make your decision. But I say compare this to an NFT, like a normal NFT that we've been used to up until this point. And with that, you're buying an NFT because you like the artist, because you like the community, because you like the project, or maybe there's some utility behind it, like they're going to make a cartoon, or they're going to make an IP universe like they're doing in Bake and other things. So compare one to the other. We're just the utility that we're focusing on is kind of the Bitcoin rewards and the game element of being able to win more kind of hash rate there. So I think if you kind of look at it in that way, then it becomes very attractive for that reason. But I would say also, just looking at those economies of scale, if you were to compare this to cloud mining, which you said Nexus, it has a high upfront investment on there.
Yes.
For cost. It also has a illiquid contract that's attached to it as well. So that's probably a kind of a fairish comparison as well. And I think you'll find that AuraPool kind of wins over that in what it offers as an overall package and as a membership pass.
Okay. Element's second question. The system seems reliant on NFTs and their buyers. Would reputable NFTs be supported here at various points? And I'd elaborate on that by saying that I think what he means by reputable is known commodities rather than just like any random speculative algorithmic art project.
Got it. So AuraPool is tokenized infrastructure. We have started with Hashrate. And we started with Hashrate for much the same reason that we came out with Cudo Miner before everything else. Before we came out with everything else, right? So we started with Hashrate because behind that is a proof of work algorithm, and that is 24/7 demand. So if we want if we want a collectible that is paying daily rewards, then what better way to do that than with a proof of work behind the scenes, which is providing 24/7 demand. So that's kind of
arguably it's more provable than lots of other work in this world.
Absolutely, but we're not stopping there. This is tokenized infrastructure. There will be other types of infrastructure that come along over the roadmap. We've already got some planned on high performance computing farms, because that actually is very beneficial to kind of Cudo Compute, which is one of our other ecosystem products. We're also talking about renewable infrastructure, so that could be things like solar farms, it could be wind farms, it could be water fueled energy cells, etc. So there's lots of types of infrastructure. What we look at is, does that infrastructure generate a revenue? Yes, it does. Okay, well then we can look to kind of tokenize it and provide rewards.
Wow, that's really cool. Okay. Rusty, our next user, asks, how does AuraPool determine which clean powered mining farms to connect the user to?
Yeah, so so you as the buyer would choose. So you can go on to AuraPool. You can look up each individual mining farm. So each individual mining farm would have their own collection page. And so the hash rate pool that you're buying from is from that farm, right? So depending on which hash rate collectible you buy.
Okay.
From our point of view, we're really looking at, it comes back to that kind of due diligence point, and a farm that is, and this is just an example, but a farm that is over 10 megawatts in size is a completely different operation to a farm that is 1 megawatt in size, right? So there's a lot more kind of complications, a lot more infrastructure that's required. It's a bigger team, it's a professional team. You need financial directors in place to make sure that you can carry on through bear markets, that you've got the best PowerPoint agreements, all of these power purchase agreements, all of these kind of different factors. So the bigger the operation, the better the economies of scale they get on the buying side, but also in general, the kind of better operated, better run they are facilities, because at that point you're looking for all of those kind of tiny percentages to improve, because it's going to improve the profitability of the farm. So those are kind of where we're looking at, right? We know that these large scale operators are going to continue to scale, but what that's been doing is it's been centralizing the hash rate ownership. So if we work with these operators, because they are going to continue to scale, you're not going to kind of decentralize the operation in that sense, but we can sell that hash rate. It means that whilst the operations are growing and you've got the good teams that know what they're doing that are growing those operations, we can actually decentralize the ownership of the hash rate, which I think is really cool.
Okay, very interesting. That leads directly into Rusty's follow-up. How clean are they? And can you verify? How do you verify their cleanliness?
Yeah, so we're saying clean energy mining. That's you've got 100% renewable energy farms out there, and they will be powered by hydro, geothermal if they're in Iceland. Really cool how that works if anyone wants to kind of
volcanoes in El Salvador.
yeah, absolutely. So you've got wind, solar, etc. Then you have kind of clean energy. So I would class nuclear as clean energy, for example. Might be a controversial point here, but it's considerably cleaner than oil and gas. You also have carbon capture technology. So, across the US, it's quite popular to have flared gas mining farms. These are ones where gas is normally flared into the air, which is obviously very, very bad for the environment. So what they're doing is they're actually capturing that flared gas and converting it into electricity. So they're taking that and they're turning it into Bitcoin effectively, right? So, these kind of things are good for the industry. It means that if AuraPool, or not if, but when AuraPool brings in millions of new people to kind of buy Hashrate, that's certainly our ambition. Then we're doing that in a responsible way, and it's the farms that we're helping to scale are those ones that are mining in a responsible way with a responsible power source.
Okay. All right. Our next question comes from Lucy. How will the collectible NFTs be represented? Will there be a unique or special form or attached images and videos made by a unique and differentiated artist, for example?
Yeah, so the first collection, Jeff, I'm sorry if I'm doing all the talking, man. You're trying to get a word in edgeway. Yeah, but sorry. So the first collection, he's used to it. Don't worry. The first collection is actually designed by a very well-known artist on the Solana ecosystem. So if anyone's a fan of Solana NFTs, they may already be familiar with someone called Deluxe3. He's got a kind of unique abstract style to his art. He was a former designer at Nike, actually. So he was part of the team that rebranded the Denver Broncos and a number of other kind of NFL.
You said Nike. Do you mean Nike, the athletic footwear company?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So,
okay. No, I just wanted to be sure. That's.
That's a UK thing. Yeah, I think Nike's the rest of the world. We call it Nike.
No worries. No worries.
So he's a very well-known artist within the Solana ecosystem. He recently got voted within the top 5, I think it was, digital artist on there. He's got a following of about 100,000 people on Twitter. His Twitter handle, Jeff, maybe put it in the chat. I think it's Rick Bacchus or Bascas. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, very. He's got a good past collection. He's produced some really beautiful stuff. So. We commissioned him for this, or the first collections go on there. Commissioned him as the artist. We are going to have 5 different levels. The top level, which is Blue Diamond, these are the ones that are $5,000 once it goes onto the public floor price. Anyone that's coming into the white list, by the way, into the pre-sale gets a 10% discount. So it's a good opportunity to get in and get some money off your hash power. It's got 5 different levels. So at the $5,000 ones, the Blue Diamonds, there is less of them. There's only 10 of them overall. And then you come down to Diamond, and then Emerald, and then Ruby, and then Opal. But at Opal, there's more of them, right? So there's more scarcity as you go up, which is fairly normal. But if you're buying an Opal, then it's going to be the same Opal as everyone else's is Opal.
Okay.
If you're buying a Diamond, it's the same as everyone's Blue Diamond there. Yeah.
So in that sense, the kind of rarity and value of the NFTs is going to come sort of from the fact that, okay, there's a limited number of ASICs, there's a limited amount of hash power out there, and the NFTs represent some of that. So that aspect of things will add to the scarcity.
Yeah, absolutely. The way I really like this, and actually this is I'm nicking this from him, right? So from the artist from Deluxe 3. This isn't something I come up with myself, but he came on and said, what we all really liked as a team when he said it was like, I want something that is going to look beautiful on your wall for the next 20 years, right? So if you put this into a digital frame and you put it in there, it is something that you would expect that if you walked into a Mercedes-Benz showroom, it will be up there. It feels luxurious. It's a beautiful piece of art. So we've made sure that we've associated that to the project as well. But each farm that comes on, and the other thing is, if you've got it hanging up on the wall, then how cool is it when your friends come around and say, "Oh, look at that one! That's helping me pay my utility bills."
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But each farm is, they're representing their brand. So the choice of art that they choose to represent their brand to as their Hashrate collectibles could vary, could range quite wildly, right? And we'll see that over the coming 12 months as more collections come on from different farms and how they want that represented.
Okay. Well, that does lead actually into Lucy's second question somewhat. What are the client-side / user requirements to join the project and earn some sats?
Jeff, you can take this one away.
All you need to do if you're purchasing an NFT that is under $1,000 is set up your Cudos wallet and log into the marketplace and purchase your NFT. So that it's as simple as that. Above $1,000, there is some KYC involved, but anything being bought underneath that price point does this KYC.
And when you say create a Cudo wallet, you essentially mean a sort of Cosmos Hub Kepler, correct?
Yep. So you could either use Kepler or Cosmos Station. So Cosmos Station is available on mobile. For Cudos, Kepler isn't yet. So if you prefer using an extension, Kepler might be the one for you. And if you prefer using a mobile and having your wallets on your mobile phone.
Yeah, for those of you who might not be aware, Kepler is essentially MetaMask for the Cosmos Hub.
Yeah. You beat me to it. I was going to say exactly the same.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
okay.
It's an extension in any Chromium browser as well. Same way MetaMask works.
All right. Next question comes from Sammy. Would there be any bug bounties? And is the Aura NFT backed with assets? To a certain degree, the asset question's already been answered because the Aura NFT is allegedly backed by the asset that is the Bitcoin mining hash rate. So that they're treating that essentially as an asset for this context.
Yeah, correct. The asset, exactly as you said. So the asset is the hash rate. Once you've bought that hash rate collectible, that hash rate belongs to you. So the smart contract switches it over. So it's not like the farm can switch it back to themselves. They keep the production of that hash rate up until the point it's sold, and then the production comes to you. And at the end of the term, the production switches back to them. The collectible will still have value, still be able to play games, still be able to win hash rate, still be able to get access to exclusive drops and all of the other utility that we'll bring in by that point.
Okay, that raises a follow-up question. You mentioned a term. Do these NFTs have a lifespan or a shelf life?
Yeah, so again, this comes down to the farm and what they listed there, and it's all very visible, right? So as you're going in, you can see the term it lasts. So there's a good reason behind that as well. So when we're talking about mining hardware, then typically it has kind of a 5 to 6 year lifespan on there, historically, that's maybe because the actual device wears out. You get wear and tear with any kind of computing equipment, but things are made a lot better now. But it's usually because the network difficulty increases to the point where those types of devices become unprofitable to keep on and to keep mining with. So more efficient devices come out, in each generation. So the typical term length that we're expecting to see, we're talking to farms about what they attach to this hash rate contract, which sits below your collectible, is going to be 3 or 4 years. When we start talking about other types of infrastructure, that may even be longer, right? So it may even be perpetual in some cases.
So the NFT will essentially be created by we'll call it the firm doing the mining, for example. And the group doing the mining would create this NFT that would essentially represent their tokenized hash rate. And that hash rate may, or I guess may not, have shelf life and terms and conditions attached to it, depending on the group creating the NFT. Do I have that right?
Yeah, correct. So and this is specific to the daily Bitcoin rewards utility within that NFT. All of the other utilities will continue, right? So access to drops, the games, like I said, where you can win hash rate. So there's still going to be utility within these NFTs thereafter. And of course, like I said, going back to the art, and this is why we made sure that particularly for his first collection, and we'll advise the farms on their collections as well as they come on, is we want to make sure it looks beautiful forever. So even beyond the point where the hash rate is pointed back to the farm because it's ended its term, it's still going to be a beautiful piece of artwork because hanging on your wall if you put it into a digital frame.
Okay.
And there's just one bit I wanted to mention as well, because you mentioned bug bounties. That was part of the
yes, that's part of the question.
Yep. So, we will aim to do some bug bounties, but not just bug bounties. There'll be social bounties and gaming bounties, loads and things of that nature, which we will be rewarding people for engaging in. So, yeah, I suppose that kind of covers it. But yeah, it won't just be bug bounties, social bounties as well, which will probably come sooner than the bug bounties.
Okay. Alrighty, Sammy's second question then. Do you guys think that you would be able to get, he writes better, but I think what he really means is bigger. A bigger audience if you guys expand onto more blockchains other than just Cudo and Cosmos?
I mean, we've got a multi-chain strategy. This is not just for AuraPool, it's for our other products as well within the ecosystem. So we're very, very keen on the whole kind of interoperability points as well. So there's lots of developments coming out. NFT bridges, for example, which will allow the kind of portability between different blockchains. The actual standard that the NFT is minted in. And being able to move that over to Ethereum, for example, or Polygon, or one of the kind of Ethereum chains. From a payments point of view, we know the importance of the kind of liquidity that's coming from, particularly from ETH, when we're talking about NFTs, and so we will be supporting ETH payments on the primary sale, as well as Cudos, our own token, which is Cudos, as well, and that's we want to make sure that people have that kind of experience. And then part of the kind of multi-chain strategy is you'll be able to use MetaMask as well on that. So absolutely is the short answer to your question. But we have to start somewhere, right? And
yes,
that somewhere is going to be on our chain. We'll make sure that we can support the payments so you've got the liquidity there. But ultimately it's going to start on our chain. That'll be the first version.
Okay. All right. Next question comes from Vicky. If the market is down, how are we going to be expected to get the rewards that AuraPool intends to distribute? Put another way, how long do we hold the NFTs if we're expecting the value to go up, increasing, and or depending on the market? That is a tough question to ask a team who's making something, I just want to say.
No, this is good. This is good. I like it. So this is a bit like if you buy Bitcoin, right? If you're just buying Bitcoin, then you might just decide that you're going to hold that. I know for me personally, I got a little bit in 2016 when I first started kind of getting interested in this space, and I've held it ever since. And I've gone through two winters now where I've looked at myself in the mirror and gone, deep questions. Why have I done that? But I believe in Bitcoin. Not just Bitcoin, but I believe in Bitcoin, and so for me, that was the decision I made. But it could have gone to the peak of the bull market. I might have sold, taken a bit of profit. Maybe I could have bought in at a lower price. I missed that chance, but that's the case. So that's what's really nice about this product is the fact that there is a secondary market. So you can buy one of these, and let's say it's a 4-year hash rate contract that's underneath the collectible. That doesn't mean you have to keep it for 4 years. You can do, obviously, that will give you a return over time based on the various different variables and network difficulty and price, as we've mentioned before. But you could also decide that when we get to the next bull run, and I think a lot of people predict that to be kind of the second half of 2024, where it will go up fast, parabolic. Hopefully we're all fingers crossed on that one. Then you might decide, well, actually, this is a great time to be able to sell that on the secondary market. And you know what? It means that the person that comes in and buys that is just picking up the remainder of that contract term length. So it's all about, important part of developing this product was to make sure it had the liquidity in there.
Okay. Excellent. Oh man, we still have lots of badass questions. Oh gosh. Okay. All right, so we are approaching the hour mark. I normally will offer a trapdoor at this time in the event that the team feels like they're under a lot of pressure or there's scheduling conflicts and you guys got to go. But we still have a ton of questions, so if you guys would stick around so I could roll through them, that would be super appreciated.
Let's go. I feel like we just got started.
At this point, it often feels that way. All right. Excellent. Okay, so Vicky's second question. You guys are calling this the world's first NFT marketplace for Bitcoin. Vicky writes that this place has problem heat. How could I control or mitigate this? And this, I think, is technically a mining management question.
Right, okay, so we're calling it the world's first NFT marketplace for Hashrate collectibles, and rather than for Bitcoin, because there's lots of marketplaces out there for Bitcoin already. By saying that big, and there are other Hashrate mining projects that are already out there. Tokenized Hashrate is what I'm going for.
Yes.
Okay, maybe I should have left after the hour.
No worries.
There are other kind of self projects out there that are doing it for their own farms on a kind of smaller scale. The approach that we've taken is it's an open marketplace, right? So there can be multiple farms from anywhere around the world, as long as they kind of meet our criteria of being clean energy, over a certain size, etc., etc. So that's why we kind of positioned it in that. Now, from a heat point of view, this is really the responsibility on the farm side, of course. And again, this is where we do a deep kind of due diligence on the physical environment. So if it's a container type farm, and for anyone that's not aware of that, it is a shipping container. It is exactly what you would see on one of those big cargo ships. But inside they're either air-cooled solutions, and that works very, very well if it's in a cool climate, but really badly performs very badly and makes the machines very inefficient if you're running in a hot climate, somewhere like Texas, for example. So, when you start getting to hot climates, they tend to use immersion cooling. So it's a little bit more expensive up front for that infrastructure. The immersion cooling is keeping the processors themselves in a liquid. It's usually like a silicon-based liquid. And to keep it cool means you don't have to have any moving parts, so there's no kind of fans on the devices or anything. So it's actually more efficient, but it's in the long term, but it's slightly more expensive on the capex, so the capital expenditure up front for these operators. So we look at that, and then when it comes to the kind of the mining facilities, which are in a more kind of traditional data center type setup, so more within a kind of warehouse dedicated building, then again we're looking at the cooling systems, and it comes down to things like are they running hot and cold aisles, which means the back of the devices, the exhausts, where it's kicking out the heat from those ASIC devices, is pointed outwards, and the cooling is coming up on the inside, so it's being drawn in to those devices. So we'll look at everything in that sense, because we want to make sure that it's well run. And of course, the more efficient that they get on the cooling, the more profitable it is for that farm as well. So everything kind of leads back to that kind of due diligence and us doing the checks and seeing if it's a well run farm.
All right. Excellent. Our next question comes from Django. Django, what inspired the creation of AuraPool, and how would you differentiate it from similar NFT marketplaces?
Yeah, well, let's start with the differentiator. The differentiator is that this is very, very focused on tokenized infrastructure. So it's like a niche marketplace. You've got OpenSea, which is your kind of like catalog. It's very generalistic. Anyone can list permissionlessly as well. It can list your NFTs in all different types of shapes and sizes and styles and representing different things. Ours is very, very much focused on tokenized infrastructure, and it will continue to be on that. In terms of the kind of genesis idea for this, where did that come from? So we do have a history of mining. We created Cudo Miner, the software which we spoke about at the beginning of this session. And Cudo Miner was a great product for us. We built up a large community. It was around about 750,000 user accounts were created on that product over its since its inception in 2019. And so we have already had a kind of mining community. We saw because our software was built for GPUs rather than ASIC devices. We saw that ETH merge that was coming up, which happened in the middle of last year, and knowing that it was going to swap from proof of work over to proof of stake. And the most profitable coin to mine on GPUs was Ethereum for quite a long time before that, so probably for a good year before that as well. So all of these things kind of were coming up, and we knew that if we were to continue having a kind of mining product line, if you like, then we need to change things. So this idea of going, well, Bitcoin, the network, is not going to change to proof of stake. I don't think anyone here on this call will say that it's going to change to proof of stake in the foreseeable future, at least. And it's only going to continue to grow. We have a mining community. We have a blockchain. We have all of the different components that we can come up with something really, really cool, and give people a way to continue mining or get into mining. But this time, take away all of that fuss around the kind of hardware and the technical barriers to get into it, and just open it up, just make it more inclusive. And that's really where kind of AuraPool was born.
I'd just like to add to that as well, actually. So I'm not sure if how familiar everyone is with Ordinals at the moment. So Ordinals is a group that's actually found some more utility for the Bitcoin network and started minting what they call digital artifacts, similar to NFTs, on the Bitcoin blockchain. And that's caused quite a lot of controversy with like hardcore OG Bitcoiners, just because of the congestion it can put on the network, and the network is sacred, it's holy to those people. And
Yep.
At the same time, on the ordinal side of things, their line of thinking is we need to expand the utility of Bitcoin. We need to expand the Bitcoin ecosystem. And the way that I like to think of AuraPool is that it kind of sits in the middle and gives the best of both worlds. So it expands on the Bitcoin ecosystem and allows people to support the network without directly congesting it. So yeah, that is, I mean, the ordinal thing is really recent, and yeah, I mean, it couldn't have come at a better time because it gives us some more insight into the Bitcoin's ecosystem's reaction to NFTs, digital artifacts, digital collectibles, and yeah, we found that we were sitting in a pretty good position.
Very cool. Okay. Django's second question. How does AuraPool ensure that the buying and selling of Hashrate collectibles is accessible and inclusive to a diverse range of users regardless of technical expertise or financial resources?
It's a great question, Django. Thank you very much. So I think working backwards on that is we wanted to have these different levels for different personas buying it, different audience types that are buying it. So the entry level is $150. In fact, if you're actually going through the pre-sale, it's a slightly different process. But once it gets to the public sale, it's $150. And that's kind of 5 terahashes, and we wanted to make it significant enough in the terms of the hash rate that there's the underlying contract to make it attractive to people on that side of things as well. So you've got the inclusivity there on the kind of low barrier to entry on that price. That doesn't necessarily mean that we won't have future collections that launch that launch a $10 one or maybe even a $1 one, right? So which could open it up to an even bigger community set. The proportionate amount or the percentage that you would get back in Bitcoin rewards is still proportionate, right, to the hash rate. So that kind of answers it on the kind of inclusivity piece. From a user experience, I think we can all agree here that the blockchain world is improving and is massively improved on the user experience of being able to use different applications and wallets and different chains and bridging assets between chains and all those kind of things. It has massively improved in the last kind of 4 or 5 years from what I've seen, but it's still got a bit of a way to go. Now, if you want to keep custody of your own tokens, and this is an NFT, so it's still a token type, then you're going to have to download today. You're still going to have to download a crypto wallet that supports the chain that you're buying that token from. So in our case, it's Kepler or Cosmos Station, as Jeff said. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question, right? So our principle when we're designing products is to make it as simple as possible. Making it as simple as possible usually means it's very, very complex behind the scenes, right? And it takes longer to develop, and that's kind of the outcome of good design. So we've removed as many steps as possible to make this an easy UX experience. But I can guarantee you that in 12 months' time there would have been further improvements made. Maybe there's leaps in kind of technology and tools that are out there that allows us to do it in an even simpler way.
Well, maybe you guys can come back in the interim and tell us how things are shaping up. I know the community would probably love it. Okay, moving right along. Usama Anwar asks, where are you guys based? And how are you planning to target the larger emerging crypto markets located in the Middle East and Southeast Asia?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we're based in, actually, we've got team members all around the world now, but the core of the team is based in the UK. It's where the company was founded. It's where Cudo was founded, which is the company behind AuraPool. And that's kind of split in various different locations across the UK, but predominantly here. We do have people over in, we have engineers in Bulgaria as well. I think we have someone in the States. We have people in Spain as well. So a decentralized team, if you want to call it that, but really it's remote working because that's what software allows us to do these days. On the community side, Jeff, do you want to kind of pick that up and how we're going to go into the likes of Southeast Asia and other regions?
Yeah, sure. So we're doing a lot of these sorts of things with communities based in those locations. A lot of our marketing will be directed in those locations. We'll have multilingual mods in our Discord and different channels for different languages and things like that. So yeah, we're kind of moving in those circles already. I mean, we have some AMAs lined up that mainly focus on some of those regions. But yeah, that's just a small part of what we're planning to do with people in those communities. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Usama's second question is a fun one. Explain AuraPool in 5 words. Tough, I know.
Five.
Explain AuraPool in 5 words. Okay. Tokenized Hashrate collectibles for everyone.
Excellent. Nicely done. Nicely done. All right. Next question from Daddy Wolf, who writes, welcome AuraPool to our one-of-a-kind Wolves of Wall Street community. I just went through your Medium blog, and I have some questions. Question 1, what is your marketing strategy looking at the current scenario of the crypto market, and how do you think you'll fare against other similar NFT marketplaces?
Jeff, do you want to take one?
Yeah, sure. So our marketplace, I don't think there's anything out there like it at the moment. So we have an edge. We're bringing something new and exciting. And also, unlike many other NFT marketplaces, we can also tap into the cloud mining crowd and the mining crowd because, as we explained earlier, the upfront costs for setting up some cloud mining is just immense, and it's way cheaper to just, our method is way more cost effective. So that's one of the angles that we'll be pushing, and that gives us an edge over some of the other people in the NFT marketplace sort of space.
Right. Daddy Wolf's second question. This particular sentence kept me wondering, quote, the hardware is managed by providers in the marketplace, so all you need to do is create an account and you'll have access to all the information you need to make informed decisions. End quote. Why should the client user place their trust in newly established marketplace providers?
Yeah, I think here as well, maybe that's a bad way to word it. Maybe we should kind of revise that. So when we say the marketplace providers, we're talking about these mining farms. So the mining farms are, they will be known brands. And if they're not known to you, there'll be information on them. They have to list all of that stuff publicly as part of the kind of onboarding process to be able to list their collections. So there's kind of mandatory fields that they need to fill in basically to create themselves an account, to create themselves a collection page. So you as a user will be able to just jump onto AuraPool. You'll be able to browse through those different collections. You'll be able to see who those farms are. Those farms might be listed farms. That's there's quite a lot of listed farms that are out there that we're having conversations with. They might be privately owned ones, but what we can say with confidence is that we've taken them through due diligence before they get to the point where they're listing their actual hash rate there for you to buy. So hopefully that answers your question.
Absolutely. Next question from Least Comic Wolfing. Does creating this large pool of mining power that can be freely directed by secondary funds, not necessarily directly through fiat, bring any worry of a bad actor more easily utilizing your system to create a 51+% attack on Bitcoin or any other network that the pool could direct its hash power toward?
So we only for the tokenized hash rate, it's only Bitcoin. So we're not looking at any other proof of work algorithms on there, at least not yet. But it's only Bitcoin, and that's partly because of the reasons that you've said there. So Bitcoin is a gigantic network. I don't actually know what the device count on it is now, but this time last year it was around about 45 to 50 million devices, something in that region. So, when you start to think about doing a 51% attack on that, that's an awful lot of hash rate that you need to buy. And that's certainly not be on our network through AuraPool, the marketplace, is certainly not going to be 51% of the world's hash rate that you can buy.
Well, let me rephrase the question then in sort of a more hypothetical context, because I think I know what the user's getting at. Essentially, he's envisioning a scenario in which a very large, oversized mining firm, think perhaps Bitmain themselves, right? The people who make the miners. Could Bitmain harness their own industrial mining power, combine it with the additional tools and hash power offered by AuraPool, and then use that combined effort to possibly come close to launching a 51%?
I see what you're saying. I mean, technically, that could probably happen. How realistic
it's
that
just
is.
Highly unlikely, highly improbable.
I mean, it would be if you think of I would say that's a good answer, but I would say this as well, right? So Bitmain are producing those devices, right? What is their cost on the actual device that they're buying? So it wouldn't make sense for them to buy one of these hash rate collectibles where that price per terahash has been marked up to be listed to be sold on the marketplace. It would be more affordable for them, more cost effective to actually just onboard a load of their new devices and be able to be able to do it in that way. So it's extremely improbable and unlikely for that to happen. But I always quite say nothing is impossible.
Okay. That's all I needed for that. Okay. Yeah. Next question from my moderator, Arthax. What are some of the critical challenges faced by AuraPool in creating this world's first NFT hash rate collectible marketplace?
Yeah, I mean, this is software development, right? So there's been plenty of hurdles along the way, technical hurdles along the way. But actually, we've turned this around from an idea to a reality within the space of in under a year. So actually when you're in the thick of it and you're going through week by week and you're on the daily stand-ups, as myself and Jeff are on every single morning, sometimes you're thinking, oh my god, not another week, this isn't as quick as we thought it would be, but actually when you look back and you realize how much you've achieved over that space of time, it's quite amazing, really. So with a lot of kind of software development, particularly within the kind of blockchain space, it's the smart contract, it's the kind of the whole legalities and legal checks and going through your terms and conditions and making sure that you've got lawyers from different countries that are able to advise on local laws. So it's not just all on the development side where you have hurdles. It's on the legal side, it's on the operation side, it's on the commercial side as well. Making sure that we craft a product with utility that is affordable, inclusive, that's going to pay daily rewards, and give the best opportunity to kind of bring value as an overall package, not as a financial product, but as an overall package. And then you have the marketing, of course, right? So, Cudos is not a chain that's as big as Ethereum. It's not as big as Solana. Our chain is much more focused on infrastructure and how we can provide infrastructure, right? So that's our kind of USP. That's the gap that we're filling within this space. So, based on that, if we're bringing out something like AuraPool, is like, well, how and what is the best strategy to get users across to us? How can we add liquidity from other chains? How can we have the interoperability? All these kind of things. So you could quite easily get a spreadsheet on day one and list down all the things you need to do, and by day 7 that's already multiplied by 10, and by month 7 that's multiplied by 1,000, right? So there's just lots and lots and lots of items that you just have to kind of keep chipping away at, keep ticking off as you go through. But I think that's usual and normal with any application you build.
Naturally. Okay. Next question from Arthax. Do you guys suspect that possible low interest being caused by the bear market price action, and personally I'd toss Sam Bankman in there too, do you think that all of this negativity might impact you guys going forward?
No, I think we've got a solid product here that offers something different, right? So it is unique. It's got USPs in there. I think this community, and when I say this community, I'm talking about the blockchain community, the mining community,
the royal crypto
the
group at large. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that they have been looking for a product like this for a while, and they may not have known exactly what that product was they're looking for, but they were looking for a product like this for a while. And when I say that, I'm talking about utility NFTs, or hybrid NFTs, if you want, ones that actually connect real world kind of assets, if you like, and the DeFi to the actual NFT itself. So we're seeing this kind of evolution in the way NFTs are what they're delivering now. Naturally, we started on the kind of focused on the art because everyone around the world knows what art is. They can relate to it, and things evolve from there. And I think we've come into this kind of utility NFT phase now. And so no, I've got confidence, and the rest of the team has got high confidence that this is a solid product, and things will take time to build. We're starting with this first collection. We'll learn a lot from this first collection. I have absolutely no doubt in that, and we'll experiment with marketing techniques, and we'll experiment with other things, and things will evolve naturally going forward as well. But I think we're in a good place. Market is looking for it, and we're confident.
Okay, we just have 2 more user sets of questions to get through. Master Halo 40 asks, why did you guys decide to work on the Cudos blockchain instead of other, perhaps better known blockchain networks? Were there any special reason or motivation for doing so?
We are Cudos. So
there you go.
So, there we go. So hence my name here, Cudo Pete. So Cudo is the parent company. Cudos is our blockchain. AuraPool is our tokenized infrastructure marketplace, which sits on top of the Cudos blockchain. We've got a multi-chain strategy. We're adding in support for payment in other coins as well. So we're not ignoring the fact that there are bigger chains, bigger sets of liquidity out there. We're actually harnessing that and making sure that it's available to our community as well.
Excellent. The follow-up to that is essentially the main utilities, benefits, ways to earn, but we did cover that earlier. That would essentially be the tokenization of various elements of hardware-based infrastructure that generate revenue. So if you can imagine beyond a Bitcoin hash rate, any kind of tokenizable infrastructure that generates revenue, that's sort of what they're going for here. Okay, the second question is, while investigating, I noticed that the first NFT collection that will come out is Blockmole. I'd like to know some more details about this, because I saw that by acquiring an NFT from Blockmole, you will have certain special benefits, such as users will get access to their own hash rate of Blockmole's Bitcoin mining, as well as getting access to their gaming platform.
Yeah, so Blockmole is a mining farm, a mining farm operator. They're 100% renewable energy as well, so it's all hydro powered behind it. And we've actually known the team behind Blockmole for over 15 years. So we've known them from the data center industry. Very reliable team, very credible team, good background within managing, maintaining, operating facilities, so technical facilities, which is what this will be. The games themselves will be on is part of the AuraPool marketplace. So, but by having one of the Blockmole Hashrate collectibles or any of the following farms that list their collection will give you a pass into playing these games on the AuraPool platform.
Okay. That brings us to our our final user, actually. Our final user, we have Metamorphosis. Good to see you, brother. As you may be aware, the regulatory landscape surrounding NFTs is constantly evolving. There's a possibility that governments could introduce regulations that could impact the growth of the market. These measures may include restrictions on trading or the imposition of taxes on NFT transactions. We would definitely love to hear your thoughts on this matter, and we're curious if you have any plans or strategies in place to mitigate any potential risks that might arise.
Yeah, I mean, our operations team and our project team are on the pulse with everything that is happening on a market macro scale, right? So that comes down to legalities, taxations, as you mentioned. I think we can all agree here that this space is going to see regulation come in, more regulation come in, should I say, as it grows and matures. So we've got to stay on the pulse, absolutely, with that on there as well. So that's the answer I can give you. Is just to say that we're making sure that we're in line with regulation. If you weren't on the call at the beginning, to say that there's already some restrictions in place. For example, that we can't or people from the US aren't able to buy this from the AuraPool marketplace. But outside of the US, that's okay. And we've gone through the kind of different consultations with our lawyers in different countries to get that kind of assured. Things like KYC as well. If it's over $1,000 purchase, then you have to go through KYC. If it's below, you currently don't. But that could change in the future. Maybe they say KYC is on everyone, or maybe they increase the KYC to 10,000. We just need to make sure that we're always aware of what's upcoming, when that's coming in, and make the changes as appropriate.
Okay. And that brings us to Metamorphosis' second question. We're thrilled to see the growing interest in crypto and NFTs from users in North America and Western Europe. We are also, however, obviously excited about the prospect of expanding into the emerging markets of India, the Middle East, and Africa. We understand that there will certainly be unique challenges related to cultural difference, payment option, and local regulation. We would like to therefore inquire if you have any plans in place to address the cultural issues that might arise and ensure that the expansion of crypto into these markets is successful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. Jeff, you had something to say? Do you want to go for that?
Yeah, sure. I guess part of it is tied with what I mentioned earlier, having boots on the ground in those locations, working with the team, keeping us up to date with either regulatory changes or things around community sentiment and uptake is really beneficial. With Cudos, we saw that there was a huge interest in Africa in particular. So we started to work with ambassadors in that area. We also started to work with influencers in that area.
Oh, we've lost it.
We lost. We got you back. We lost you a moment.
Sorry.
No worries.
So for Cudos, we had boots on the ground in Africa, in Nigeria specifically, and we worked with agencies, ambassadors, influencers in that area. And we had a good view of how things were in terms of community sentiment and regulations on that side, and it will be the same for all of the regions that we kind of reach out into.
Excellent. And as a bonus, I'll slide it in at the end. Imagine that I own a huge mining rig. What precautions would I need to take in order to get on your platform? And what would you guys expect or require of me, the mining administrator?
Yeah, so I think this comes down to the type of supplier that's coming onto AuraPool in the foreseeable future. So let's say 2023 is going to be from larger mining farm operators. Generally speaking, we'll have a policy that they're kind of minimum kind of 10 megawatts and up, and that's really for One, because operationally it's a lot tougher to operate at that size, and so you tend to have a better team in place. The financial director, as I mentioned beforehand, operations director. You have kind of better call-in infrastructure and everything that kind of comes with that piece. So. But the second part is because of the economies of scale that you're buying the power, you're buying the hardware at, and that of course has a knock-on effect to what we can provide into the community and make it better value for the actual Hashrate collectibles themselves. Whether we kind of change that up in the future as things get even more decentralized and kind of technology evolves and we can have smaller providers that are coming into it. Potentially, but you would still have to go through the same level of due diligence that the bigger farms would go through as well.
All right, and with that final question, we appear to have reached the end of the AMA, and you guys all know what that means. It's time for the best question contest. The most arduous part of the show. Alrighty, now, I am occasionally forced by visiting teams to do all of that hard work myself, determining which members of my community ask the finest questions, but that's a really hard job. So I always turn it over to you guys, the visitors, to sort of help me with this. Now that we've reached the end, there are some important things that I have to let everybody know, because this show comes with some extra perks. And if there's one thing we all like, it's extra perks, right? Okay, folks. At the blessing of AuraPool, all members of the Wolves of Alt Street will be permitted to skip the whitelist line and get immediately instant access to the whitelist for the NFTs during pre-sale at the lower entry cost. There will also be, in addition, a lucky button function, which will give users the chance to get a higher value NFT than you purchased. However, they note that this could also give you a lower value one. So there's a whole risk reward calculation you guys got to make if you want to push the magic button. So watch out for that. Besides that, all, and I repeat, all that the community needs to do to be eligible for these rewards and or a whitelist spot for the pre-sale is to join the AuraPool Discord and enter in the general chat channel !woas, WOAS, all one word, and that will get you the perks. Finally, as a special secret bonus, there will be a turbo-powered winner, basically. So, unlike many of our traditional AMAs, where we only have 5 best question winners, one of the big best question winners, who is not receiving a crypto prize, shall be chosen as king of this AMA for asking the question that the team was most impressed by. They will be our Turbo Wolfie of the day, as I say. That Wolfie is eligible to win, I believe it is the $150 class size Hashrate NFT. Do I have that correct?
Yep, that's the one.
Okay, excellent. So with all of that said, hell yes, let's figure out who earned some money today. Take a look, Cudo team and AuraPool team, at the pinned messages in the AuraPool chat. You may select from among all of these users. There is not a single user who is ineligible for rewards this time. Sometimes people misbehave, they're ineligible for rewards. Nobody did that this time. I'm really proud of you guys. So everyone's eligible to win.
We got one. Just check your mod lounge. We got one.
Oh, we have one? Okay, one moment. Give me just a second to do some housekeeping. Housekeeping! Okay. Yeah, there's only one. I will post it in a private DM to one of you gents. The one user who's not eligible. Otherwise, everyone else is eligible.
Okay. Where's the? There's so many
Oh, jeez. I lost the audio. Why did I lose the audio? Oh, I see why. Oh, that's not good. I'm on an iPad all of a sudden. Get off the iPad.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Hey.
There we go. There we go. Okay, I'm back now. Apologies for that. Okay. All right. So what among our users? Which of our users do you guys find asked the baller banger questions of today?
I'm actually struggling to find the AuraPool chat.
Oh, it should be right above the stage.
Yeah, I've just been added there. So I'm just trying to find the actual question. It was early on in the chat, but I did like the question about the legalities around it and security. So I thought that was a natural question to come up and a decent one.
Excellent. That would be our first winner then. That would be Panda.
Okay.
Panda will be our first winner. Alrighty, our next winner. That was a really good question too. Nicely done, Panda.
I think I like the one from Master Halo 40 as well. Why did we decide to work on Cudos? Mainly because I got to talk about Cudos.
Well, of course. Of course. All right. Master Halo 40 will be winner number 2.
Jeff, are you in here yet?
I haven't been able to get in there, so I think I'll leave it to you, Pete.
Okay. So we're looking for 3 more, right?
Yeah, we're looking for 3 more, with the final one being our super winner.
Okay. So one from Rusty XLM Matic. How does AuraPool determine which clean-powered mining farms to connect the users to?
Great choice. Great choice.
Okay, 2 more.
I'm in.
Yep, 2 more for our cash prizes, and then we have the NFT prize.
Okay. So one from Obadiah. Question 2. Are there grants, sponsoring, or partnerships for other projects that would like to join you?
Okay, excellent. Good choice. Good choice.
That was one of the first ones up.
Yeah, that was our number 1 question. Good choice.
Jeff, I'm gonna leave the 5th and final one to you.
Sure. I liked Arthax's question on what some of the critical challenges we're facing with the possible low interest with the bear market. I think it was a very appropriate question, and yeah, needed to be answered. So I think that was a great question.
Excellent. We have our crypto prize winners, and that leaves us with the final one. The turbo winner. The one winner to rule them all. The Wolfie who asked the question that you guys thought deserved a special prize. Something that, let's just say, gave you some food for thought and that you might actually take away from here.
Okay. Do you want to do a drum roll? Actually, I might need to find the question first. So I did actually like the question. I can't find who it's from here. About how this platform, how AuraPool as a marketplace is going to evolve, and what kind of opportunities that's going to bring to AuraPoolians over its roadmap time.
Ooh.
Trying to find the question here.
Oh yeah, that's tough because that kind of fits the bill for a couple of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm normally at this point I'd be able to point at the one like that's the one, but
check Metamorphosis. I think it's his question. We are fearlessly growing interest in North America, Western Europe. However, we're excited about expanding markets, India, Middle East, Africa. Is that the one? No?
Is that the one you guys are looking for?
Wasn't. I mean, that was a great question, but it wasn't the one. Let's.
Oh, that wasn't the one. Was it Mr. Usama who asked if you're based, where you're based, and how you plan to target the emerging markets?
No, it's more about the product. It may have even just been in general conversation. It might be something you brought up. So okay, so let's
I'm not eligible. I'm sorry. Yeah, if you want to give me an NFT, you have to give me an NFT that's not allocated to the Wolves of Alt Street. That has to go to them. I'm the host of the show. I'm not eligible.
All right, Jeff. I'm gonna put this on you. You are the decision maker for the final and the ultimate question winner.
Let's have a look.
It's hard, guys. This is the hardest part of the show.
We don't want to let anyone down. They were all great questions.
I know. This is why it sucks. Like it's so hard for me to pick winners when everyone comes in bringing their best. Like, as far as I'm concerned, I should have enough NFTs to give everyone, but we don't. There's not enough hash rate in the world for me to give everyone an NFT. So.
So I'm seeing the chat asking me not to ruin any lives.
No, seriously. And they would not I guarantee you, this community, they trust, but they also need to verify. So if I did this debate privately with the team, people would be, Fry Eye, how did you decide that? What was the method? Who'd you rule out and why? Like, they break it down for me. I gotta do it in public because that way they can validate and verify my process.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, this is what this space is about, transparency.
If I'm not living up to the ideals I expect in projects, I'm nothing but a hypocrite here.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go with least comic wolfing for the question, thus creating a large pool of mining power that can be directed by secondary funds, not fiat, bring any worry for bad actors.
You won't get any argument from me, guys. That is an incredible question. We have our Wolf King of the AMA today. It is least comic wolfing for the Turbo winner. Congratulations. This is actually a really fucking cool NFT. My only request, comic, is that after you get it and it starts to generate you Satoshis, you gotta tell us how it works, and then you gotta airdrop 69 Satoshis in free money. That is my requirement.
All we'll need is your Cudos wallet address, and then we'll have it ready for you post mint, and you'll get your NFT. So if you DM me your Cudos wallet address, or hop into the AuraPool Discord and tag me, and then we can have a conversation about collecting.
Awesome. And with that, thank you all so very much. My name is Nexus. This has been another Ask Us Anything with the Wolves of Alt Street. Today we featured Cudo and the team at AuraPool, who are delivering NFT, hash rate, unique, verifiable and validatable clean power NFTs, which is I don't even know what to say. It speaks for itself. In that sense, thank you all so very much. As always, I will be sticking around after the show to do a sentiment vent where I sit and I bring community members on the stage to talk about their feelings and how they felt about this presentation. So thank you all very much. For those of you on Twitch, hop in the Discord. Feel free to come join us. We'll be going off live shortly. And with that, it has been a pleasure. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure being here.